Today marks the first day of my heartbreak, or, more accurately, the first day of the end of my unrequited love. The man I've loved since childhood, the one I've adored from afar, has introduced his girlfriend to his parents. It's truly over for me. The photograph he shared on his social media pierced my heart, stinging my eyes. I clutched my phone, weeping uncontrollably. I've loved him for 10 years. I've laughed with him, played with him, and even accompanied him to the hospital when he had his appendix removed. Why, through all the comings and goings, couldn't the person by his side be me? As I dragged my suitcase, tears streaming down my face, to my best friend's doorstep, it suddenly dawned on me that I hadn't checked if she was home. I knocked on the door. No answer. I wiped my swollen, red nose and pulled out my phone to call her. Fortunately, she answered after only 2 rings. Cordelia, sob. Hiccup, I'm at your door. Open up, quick. Hearing my desperate sobs, punctuated by hiccups, she immediately became concerned. Oh, Ilara, my darling, don't cry, don't cry. I'm actually away on a business trip. Just make yourself at home, I'll be back first thing tomorrow. You know the passcode to the door, so go on in and wait for me, okay? Her tone confirmed her urgency. After comforting me for a moment, she hurriedly hung up. Thankfully, I remembered her passcode. I opened the door, dragged my suitcase inside. Once inside, I saw 2 bottles of beer and a bowl of crayfish on the table. I figured Cordelia had probably bought them before she left, and now that she was away, she wouldn't be able to eat them. It would be a shame to let them go to waste. So, I sat down, drank beer, ate crayfish, and watched a romantic drama. The more I watched, the sadder I became. The more I drank, the more heartbroken I felt. I, Ilara Moon, had devoted 10 years to that wretched man, and in the end, he only considered me a friend. After finishing the 2 bottles of beer, I couldn't hold back my sobs any longer. Not only did I cry, but I also sang. The ocean laughs, the tides surge on both shores. Rising and falling with the waves, remember this day. The heavens laugh at the chaos of the world. Who is defeated, who is victorious, only heaven knows. Hiccup. The bathroom door slammed open with a resounding bang. The last note caught in my throat, transforming into a monumental, drunken hiccup. The hiccup was long and drawn out, echoing and reverberating, like a winding mountain road. I froze, staring wide-eyed at the man standing in the bathroom doorway. He had evidently been in the shower. A towel was wrapped around his waist, leaving his chest bare and glistening with water droplets. His hair was still covered in unrinsed shampoo. He was now leaning against the doorframe, his gaze unfathomable as he looked at me. He had probably been drawn out by my beautiful and resonant singing. Although I knew my singing was delightful, the scene was a little awkward. I pointed to the melting foam on his head and swallowed hard. Perhaps you should finish your shower first, and then I can sing for you again? His eyes flickered with an unreadable emotion. As expected, he turned and went back inside. Taking advantage of his absence, I cheerfully located Cordelia's hidden stash of beer and downed another one in a single, bold gulp. I have absolutely no recollection of what happened after that. I awoke feeling refreshed. I stretched, intending to loosen my limbs, when I suddenly bumped into something. A muffled groan sounded from behind me. I turned my head in alarm. My gaze met his resentful eyes. I was shocked by the intensely stimulating sight before me. Because at this moment, I was sprawled in his arms, and the man was naked from the waist up, except for a rather small towel wrapped around his waist. I immediately leaped up, scratching the back of my head. My toes were practically digging into the floor in embarrassment. He looked young, but his physique was exceptionally well-defined. More importantly, he was more handsome than anyone I had ever seen. My mind felt utterly inadequate. This was Cordelia's apartment, wasn't it? Why was there a man here? Could it be Cordelia's new boyfriend? The thought sent me into a panic. The fact that he looked like he had been taken advantage of by me made me even more frantic. Damn it, why couldn't I remember anything? What did I do after I got drunk last night? I can't remember a thing. This is terrible. Did I sleep with Cordelia's new boyfriend? Seeing my frantic hair pulling, he seemed a little confused. But then, his handsome eyebrows furrowed, and he spoke in a hoarse voice. Help me up, my legs have gone numb. I immediately rushed over like a loyal puppy and helped him to the sofa. Internally, I was struggling with how to broach the subject. He, however, picked up his phone from the side table and handed it to me. Huh? What did this mean? Was he asking for payment? I hastily pulled out my own phone and glanced at my remaining balance, $170. My face immediately fell. Trembling, I extended my phone. Can I give you 150? I need to keep 20 for food. As soon as the words left my mouth, I clearly saw his expression stiffen for a moment. Afraid that he was angry, I quickly changed my tune. If that's not enough, tell me a price and I'll pay you in installments, okay? Hearing my words, his eyes narrowed. He took back his phone, tapped on it a few times, and a QR code appeared before me. I immediately scanned it. It was a friend request? He seemed to understand my confusion and spoke. Weren't you going to pay in installments? Add me as a friend and pay me back slowly. I nodded in agreement and quickly accepted the friend request. As soon as it was accepted, he sent me several videos. This action stunned me. I curiously opened one of them, and a series of blood-curdling screams of "Daddy, Daddy," suddenly filled the empty and silent room. The scene in the video, I swear, was the most embarrassing moment of my entire life. There I was, completely drunk, acting like a madwoman, crying and laughing, hugging his leg and calling him Daddy. Several times, I almost pulled off his towel. I was truly mortified. Just then, Cordelia called. I glanced at the man who had turned and gone back into the bedroom, my heart filled with complicated emotions, and answered the call. How am I supposed to explain to Cordelia that I think I slept with her man? Hello? Cordelia. Alara, darling, are you awake? Did you sleep well last night? Hearing her words, I instinctively glanced at the man who had changed his clothes and was now sitting casually on the sofa. I gulped hard. Last night. Before I could finish, she seemed to remember something and quickly spoke. Oh, right. I forgot to tell you, my younger brother, Percival, came back from school for a few days. He's staying at my place for now. He's a sophomore in college. Keep an eye on him for me. Don't let him get into any trouble. I have a sudden emergency and I might not be back for over a week. I'm counting on you during this time. Hearing her words, I felt a surge of relief, but also a new wave of anxiety. I was relieved because, thankfully, he wasn't her new boyfriend. But I was anxious because I almost slept with her younger brother, and, even more terrifyingly, I had hugged her younger brother and called him Daddy. All night long. I stammered and hung up the phone. I didn't dare to look at the man. So, he was the little kid who used to follow me around calling me Sister Alara? I remembered he used to be about my height. How had he grown so much in just a few years? Just look at him, almost 6'3", with muscles that looked incredibly toned. Goodness, he even had an 8-pack. Just as I was lost in my memories, a cool voice snapped me back to reality. Sister, it seems you've forgotten me. I looked up and chuckled. No, how could I? You're Percival Godfrey. The young man on the sofa gave a cold smile, stood up, and walked towards me. Then who was hugging me and calling me Daddy yesterday? I really don't want to be your father. I only want to be your. As he spoke, he lifted my chin with one hand, his gaze burning into mine. His gaze made me shiver. I hastily slapped his hand away. Yesterday, I was drunk, so let's just forget about it. I grabbed my phone and ran into the bedroom, slamming the door shut with a loud bang. Leaning against the door, I took deep breaths. Good heavens, how did Percival Godfrey grow up to be like this? Not only was he infuriatingly handsome, but he was also so flirtatious. Who could resist that? I had to admit, he was exactly my type, making my heart flutter uncontrollably. I thought this absurd story would end here, but who knew it wouldn't turn the page? After calming down, I glanced at the time. I needed to hurry to the university. Today was the University of N's anniversary celebration, and all the first-year graduate students were required to attend. Taking a deep breath to compose myself, I quickly got ready and headed out. I passed the living room, looked around. No one. I glanced at the adjacent bedroom. No movement. Perfect. Time to escape. I was also a key player in the university's anniversary celebration. As a representative of the first-year graduate students, I participated in the physical labor of the evening, moving props. Luckily, I was strong, otherwise I would have collapsed from exhaustion. Look at that third-year student named Jasper. He was panting heavily and kept glancing at me in surprise. I tossed my hair triumphantly and carried a human-shaped ladder to the side of the stage. Someone was speaking on stage, and the voice sounded familiar. I craned my neck to look, and the ladder in my hand almost fell on my foot. That was Percival Godfrey. He was wearing the University of N's uniform, standing on stage with a sweet-looking young woman, reciting a poem. His voice was deep and resonant, truly pleasant to listen to. Even the young woman beside him kept glancing at him with admiration. After the performance, there was a dance party. Everyone had their own dance partner. I had completely forgotten about this. I was too busy wallowing in my sadness. So, seeing couples entering the dance floor, I felt a mix of emotions. Especially when I saw Algernon with his new girlfriend, Genevieve, arm in arm, dancing the waltz, my heart began to ache again. I tried to shrink into the corner, fearing that the two of them would see me. Because Genevieve and I had a particularly bad relationship. We'd been fighting over a line drawn on the desk since elementary school, not to mention she was now the girlfriend of Algernon, the man I had loved for so many years. I bet her tail was wagging so high it could reach the sky. The more you don't want to encounter something, the more it happens. Genevieve clearly saw me. She said something to Algernon, and then they started walking towards me. I started to panic unworthily, my palms sweating. I wished the wall behind me wasn't there, so I could run away. But there was no such luck. Genevieve, with her arm linked through Algernon's, stopped in front of me with a triumphant smile. "Oh, Alara, why are you alone? Where's your partner?" Algernon looked at me, furrowed his brow, but said nothing. But I immediately noticed the bright red hickey on his neck. The excuse I had prepared reached my lips, but I couldn't utter a word. I stood there dumbfounded, and Genevieve's gaze became even more mocking. "Alara, you don't have a partner, do you?" She turned to Algernon as if offering charity. "Why don't you ask her to dance later? Otherwise, she looks quite pitiful." Algernon, hearing her words, his eyes filled with tenderness. "All right." After they entered the dance floor, my palms were soaked with sweat. How could I be so pathetic? Even if I can't make steamed buns, I should at least try to win. Alara, argue with her. But I knew Algernon was my weakness. Facing him, I couldn't say anything. Forget it, I'll just run away. Just as I was about to escape this suffocating dance party, my hand was suddenly grabbed, and I was pulled into a not-so-hard chest. I looked up in shock, meeting Percival's unfathomable gaze. He lowered his head and whispered in my ear. "Sister, why is it that every time I see you, you're in such a sorry state?" Hearing his words, I choked, unable to breathe. He chuckled softly, his pleasant voice brushing against my eardrum, along with the vibrations of his chest, transmitted through the thin fabric of his uniform, sending a tingling sensation through me. He wrapped his arm around my waist and led me onto the dance floor. His height, almost 6'3", and his handsome appearance immediately attracted the attention of many people. But my face was flushed, and I just wanted to hide as much as possible in his embrace. Even Genevieve and Algernon turned their heads to look at us. We were so close that I could clearly hear his strong heartbeat and the fresh scent of laundry detergent on him. "Sister, how can you be so inattentive?" His playful voice sounded above my head. I looked up abruptly, about to retort, but my lips brushed against something soft. He was clearly taken aback as well. The intimate proximity made me shiver. I quickly pulled away, my head feeling hot. Fortunately, the lights at the dance party were dim, and no one saw our encounter. After stepping on his feet several times, I fled in a panic. After the dance, everyone went to a dinner party. Our first-year graduate students were at one table, and the others were scattered around. Genevieve and Algernon were also first-year graduate students in the same class as me. We three were now sitting at the same table. Our classmates basically knew about our love triangle, and some started to pressure me to drink. I tried to keep a low profile, eating quietly, but I was still singled out for a toast. I knew my pitiful alcohol tolerance, and the sight of the wine glass reminded me of the scene where I cried and called Percival Daddy. The more I refused to drink, the more aggressive Genevieve became, taunting me with sarcastic remarks. Just as I was holding the glass, bracing myself with a spirit of great fearlessness, ready to down the wine, the glass was suddenly snatched from my hand. "Bartholomew? Is that really you?" I thought I was mistaken. Saying this, he clinked glasses with the man and downed the drink in one gulp. I looked up at Percival, who had suddenly appeared beside me. He was smiling and talking to Bartholomew, as if he hadn't intentionally blocked the drink for me. Everyone else had completely forgotten about pressuring me to drink, and even Genevieve was captivated by him. I felt a sense of relief, and at the same time, a strange, fleeting feeling I couldn't quite describe. During the meal, I excused myself to go to the restroom. When I came out, I was blocked at the door by Jasper, the guy who helped me move the props. His eyes were sparkling as he looked at me. "Senior, can I pursue you?" I was stunned. Was I really that strong that I captivated someone? Seeing my surprise, he blushed and explained. "Actually, I've known you for a year. Back when you were a senior, you placed 6th in the university English competition." He reminded me, and I remembered. There were only 6 finalists in the English competition, and I came in last place. I gave him a slightly embarrassed look. This guy really knows how to rub salt in the wound. He didn't seem to notice my embarrassment and continued. "I was 5th place, standing right in front of you. I've liked you ever since, senior. Will you give me a chance?" Just as I was wondering whether to reject him directly or politely, I caught a glimpse of Percival walking by, about to enter the men's restroom. My eyes lit up. I grabbed him and said to Jasper, "I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend." Facing Percival's cold and bewildered expression, I grinned sheepishly. Jasper, hearing this and seeing Percival's extremely handsome appearance, deflated like a frosted eggplant, repeatedly saying, "I'm sorry," and blushing as he left. I was about to slip away when I felt someone grab the scruff of my neck. I chuckled and turned around, wearing an ingratiating smile. I saw Percival raising his eyebrows, his expression unreadable. "Boyfriend?" I rubbed my hands and chuckled. "I just used you as a shield, thanks." With that, I took off running. When I returned to the table, they had started a new round of toasting. I regretted not going home directly. When it was my turn to drink, I desperately signaled to Percival, who was sitting at the next table, with my eyes. But he acted as if he didn't see me. Even when my eyelids started twitching, he didn't even look at me. In the end, I had no choice but to drink. At worst, I'd just have another large-scale social death scene. I just didn't know who the lucky person to become my daddy would be. One glass after another, I didn't remember how much I drank. But I vaguely remember a cool voice brushing past my ear. "She's had too much to drink. I'll take her home. You guys continue." Then I felt my body burning, constantly tugging at my clothes, searching for the slightest bit of coolness nearby and pressing against it. I heard a few muffled groans, and someone whispering low in my ear. I seemed to see Percival's eyes, filled with desire. I don't remember anything after that. The next day, I opened my eyes and saw Percival Godfrey's face beside me. I was so startled I fell right out of bed. Then I noticed I was completely naked and I froze. "Oh, mother." I and Percival, we. My movements were probably too loud and woke Percival, who was still sleeping. His handsome brows furrowed, and he opened his eyes. He silently looked at me, sitting on the floor, for a moment, then a smile of good humor curled his lips. "I couldn't see clearly last night, but now I see, sister, you have a truly lovely figure." I suddenly remembered I was unclothed and scrambled back onto the bed in a panic. A large hand reached out from under the covers and pulled me into his embrace. Feeling his smooth skin, goosebumps erupted all over my body and my heart trembled. He cupped my face, slowly leaned in, and kissed me lightly on the corner of my lips. Ah! My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would leap out of my chest. I pushed him away abruptly. A misunderstanding, it was all a misunderstanding. Hearing my words, his face immediately darkened. He lowered his head, wearing a wounded expression. "Sister, do you mean you don't want to take responsibility? So, your first time means nothing to you, is that it?" Seeing his expression, I panicked. What should I do? What should I do? What am I going to do? I slept with Cordelia's brother. I slept with Aunt Theodora's son. Aha! Just as I was trying to figure out how to explain, he spoke softly. "Last night, my mother and I helped you get back. She even told me to take good care of you." At that moment, my brain buzzed. Oh no! Aunt Theodora helped me get back? She came to Cordelia's house? Damn it. I'm finished. Just as I was pulling my hair, thinking I was about to die of embarrassment, his low voice came again. "My mother brought you here and then left. Then you climbed out of the sofa and started tearing at your clothes, not just your own, but mine too." I met his slightly resentful gaze, relieved but also incredibly embarrassed. I wanted to slap myself. I had acted so inappropriately. I really can't drink anymore. It's too terrifying. Under his gaze, I quickly got dressed. I threw down a sentence. Let's just pretend last night never happened. Without daring to look at his expression, I fled back to Cordelia's room. For the next few days, I avoided him every time I saw him. I clearly saw him wanting to say something several times, but I ran away before he could speak. His expression became increasingly grim. That afternoon, after class, I went to the night market outside the university to find something to eat. It was such a coincidence that I ran into Percival and a group of his friends. He saw me too, but he didn't acknowledge me. I bought a serving of roasted cold noodles and sat at a stall not far from them, eating quietly. Percival seemed to be in a good mood, talking and laughing with his friends. He could probably see me, but he didn't look at me once. Just then, several beautifully dressed girls approached them. I even heard one of the girls call him Brother Percy, affectionately. They must be classmates, I thought. But a strange feeling stirred within me, especially when I saw that girl sitting close to him, helping him with his food, and the others teasing them. He didn't explain or object, just maintaining a calm expression, showing neither joy nor anger. Watching that girl repeatedly brush against his arm, I suddenly felt that the roasted cold noodles in front of me had lost their flavor. I ate them without tasting anything, put down my chopsticks, and turned to leave. I hadn't even reached Cordelia's doorstep when I sensed footsteps behind me. My heart felt heavy. As soon as I opened the door, I was pushed into the entryway. My back pressed against the cold wall, and I looked up, glaring at Percival, who looked somewhat angry. "What are you doing?" Before I could finish the word doing, he sealed my lips with a kiss. His burning lips, carrying a scorching heat, made my heart tremble. Filled with the resentment in my heart, I bit down hard on his lip. The door slammed shut with a bang, blown closed by the wind. In the small entryway, only the sound of our heavy breathing could be heard. I didn't know what was wrong with me. Didn't I love Algernon? But since that morning, all I could think about was Percival's face. The more I avoided him, the clearer those memories became. I knew I couldn't forget. But I was also conflicted. This was Cordelia's brother, Aunt Theodora, and Uncle Godfrey's son. How could I explain that Cordelia asked me to take care of her brother, and I ended up taking care of him in bed? I was extremely anxious, and I vented all these frustrations on his lips. I didn't stop until his lip was bleeding and swollen. I gasped for breath, letting go. Seeing Percival's face, filled with desire, so close to mine, my heart trembled. I pushed him away and ran back into the room. Oh heavens, this was the younger brother I had watched grow up. What had I done? It started raining heavily in the middle of the night, and the sky was overcast in the morning. When I left the house, I happened to run into Percival coming out of his room. I saw his red and swollen lips and, remembering my madness from last night, I couldn't help but blush and turn my head away. He, however, acted as if nothing had happened, put his hands in his pockets, and said to me, "It might rain today. I brought an umbrella. After class tonight, I'll wait for you at the school gate and we'll go home together." I didn't have time to think and hurriedly nodded, then ran away. Around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, it started raining heavily, accompanied by strong winds. Our last class ended at 5:30 p.m. When class was dismissed, the sky was as dark as it would be at 6 or 7 p.m. I was getting ready to pack up and go home when I was suddenly called over by my advisor, who said he wanted to discuss my thesis. I glanced at my phone, intending to send Percival a message, but my phone was dead, so I had no choice but to let it go. He probably wasn't that foolish. With the wind and rain outside, given his personality, he probably went home already. So, I waited until my advisor had finished explaining the issues with my thesis before rubbing my sore neck and leaving the office. As I was leaving, my advisor saw that it was still raining and found an umbrella for me. The rain was really heavy. In the wind and rain, the umbrella almost flew out of my hand, but I managed to hold on tightly. As I walked past the school gate, I suddenly noticed someone standing under the nearby newsstand. The umbrella he was holding looked familiar, like the one Cordelia usually kept in the entryway. The rain was heavy, making it difficult to see clearly. I could only see his black sweatpants, which were soaked by the relentless rain. My heart tightened strangely. I suddenly remembered what Percival had said to me when I left the house. My feet started running uncontrollably. As I got closer, I finally saw the person under the umbrella. His white t-shirt was completely soaked, clinging to his body, revealing the chest and abdominal muscles he had obviously been working out. The bangs on his forehead were also wet with rain, falling in strands across his handsome eyebrows. His face was a little pale, either from the cold or from anger. Seeing me approach, he lifted his eyelids. He was about to extend the umbrella towards me, but seeing the umbrella in my hand, he quickly pulled it back. "Where were you? It's so late." Then he lowered his eyes and turned to leave without another word. I panicked and grabbed his damp hand. "Percival, are you stupid? Couldn't you find a place to take shelter? Or just go home?" He turned his head and looked at me, pursing his lips. "I told you, I would pick you up and take you home." Meeting his equally damp eyes, I felt an indescribable frustration, along with a deep guilt and an inexplicable emotion brewing in my chest. His eyes darkened, and he continued to explain. "I called you, but your phone was off. I was afraid you wouldn't be able to find me." After he said this, neither of us spoke, but I felt a pang of sorrow rise within me, and my heart ached. That night, I made him ginger tea, but around 11 p.m., he still had a fever. Luckily, I woke up in the middle of the night to use the restroom and heard a noise in the living room. I saw him rummaging through the medicine cabinet. I turned on the light and saw his face flushed unnaturally. He was wearing only a thin pair of pajamas, squatting on the floor. I ran over and touched his forehead. It was burning hot, scorching. "You have a fever." I wasn't asking a question. It was a statement. I helped him to the sofa and quickly found some fever-reducing medicine in the medicine cabinet, poured water, and made him drink it. "Is sister worried about me?" He held the medicine, but wouldn't put it in his mouth, which made me anxious. A strange emotion surged within me, and my eyes started to burn. "Are you an idiot? Such heavy rain. And you didn't even take shelter. You have a fever, and you're not taking your medicine." Perhaps he sensed something in my anxious mood. He suddenly chuckled softly. Then, his eyes sparkled as he looked at me. "Sister, you're worried about me." He used the same affirmative tone. Hearing his words, my heart panicked even more, as if someone had the secret buried deep in my heart. It was pounding uncontrollably. I put the glass of water on the table and was about to flee, but I was suddenly pulled from behind. I stumbled and fell into a burning embrace. His chin rested on the top of my head, and my face was pressed tightly against his chest. "Sister, I'm so tired. Please don't run away anymore, okay?" His deep, hoarse voice sounded above my head, and I could hear his strong, powerful, and slightly flustered heartbeat pounding against my eardrums. There was a moment of dizziness, because I vaguely heard him say, "Sister, I've loved you for many years." I looked up in surprise. His chin slipped, and his warm breath trailed downwards, fatally landing on his burning, hot lips. Our lips touched. He was also clearly stunned, and then he deepened the kiss. I swear to heaven, I absolutely didn't do it on purpose. I was just surprised, not actively seeking a kiss. But Percival clearly misinterpreted this accident. Because the next day, when I woke up and opened the door, I was greeted by Percival, who was back to his lively self after taking the fever-reducing medicine last night. However, his face was still a little pale. He was leaning against the doorframe, his eyes fixed on me. I scratched my messy hair, feeling a bit awkward. "Why are you standing at my door?" Percival curled his lips. "Admiring my girlfriend's appearance when she wakes up in the morning." Girlfriend. HM? Do you want to take it back?" I never agreed. What's there to take back? But before the words could leave my mouth, seeing his increasingly disappointed eyes, I chose to shut up. Because I knew clearly that I should be, and was, happy. My concern was that I didn't know how to face Cordelia, how to face Aunt Theodora. I felt ashamed to see them. Cordelia entrusted me to take care of her brother, and I ended up becoming her sister-in-law. Uncle Godfrey and Aunt Theodora liked me so much, always treating me like a daughter, and now I would be their daughter-in-law. It felt a little terrifying just thinking about it. I stammered out my concerns, but Percival just laughed. "So that's what you're worried about? Don't worry, my sister and my parents will absolutely support it. And I'll take care of everything. Don't worry." And so, with a heart filled with excitement and apprehension, I began a secret relationship with Percival. Soon, it was New Year's. We lived in the same courtyard, and every year on New Year's Day, everyone would gather for a meal. Algernon also brought Genevieve home, and of course, Uncle Godfrey and Aunt Theodora were there. At the dinner table, I tried to be as invisible as possible, but I couldn't avoid being targeted by my parents. They glanced at Algernon and Genevieve across the table and started pressuring me about marriage. You're not getting any younger. When will you bring home a son-in-law for me? That's right, daughter. Your mother is looking forward to it. I was so embarrassed I wanted to disappear. Someone at the table said, Alara, you're not still thinking about Algernon, are you? The moment she finished speaking, my face turned beet red. Algernon also looked at me strangely. Genevieve's eyes were both guarded and triumphant. Just when the atmosphere was incredibly awkward, Percival suddenly walked in from outside, politely greeted everyone, and walked over to me, naturally taking my hand. Sorry, I'm late. Auntie, Uncle, Alara and I have been together for a while, we just haven't told you yet. Hearing his words, the adults looked at each other. Algernon and Genevieve were also clearly stunned. Aunt Theodora jumped up excitedly, ran over to me, and grabbed my hand. Really? Alara, you're really with my naughty boy. Oh my, that's wonderful. Wonderful. She then slapped Percival hard on the shoulder. Good job, son. You finally did something right. This is great, Godfrey, my dream has come true. Alara will be my daughter-in-law. Ha ha ha. Uncle Godfrey added excitedly. Yes, that's great. Everyone, eat and drink as much as you like. I'm paying for this meal today. Ha ha ha. I should probably continue playing the ostrich. But the corners of my mouth couldn't help but widen. I secretly glanced at Percival, who happened to be looking at me as well. Our eyes met, and we both understood the feelings in each other's hearts. The next day, I left work as usual, humming a happy tune and texting Percival about where to have dinner that night. Just as I walked into the garage, about to take out my car keys, someone grabbed my arm. I was startled, and my car keys fell to the ground. I looked up in fear, meeting Algernon's sorrowful eyes. Alara, are you really with Percival? It's not to make me jealous, is it? I admit, you succeeded. I didn't understand what he was saying. Frowning, I forcefully pulled my arm out of his grip and looked at him with furrowed brows. What are you talking about? Being with Percival was never about making anyone jealous. I genuinely like him. What did you say? My words seemed to sting him, and his eyes turned red. He grabbed my shoulders, his tone becoming urgent, even angry and incomprehensible. You're lying to me, aren't you? The person you love is me. It's always been me, isn't it? Hearing his words, I looked at this familiar yet strange man in disbelief. He knew. He actually knew all along. But since he already had a girlfriend, and I had Percival, why was he saying all this to me now? It was like someone had suddenly ripped open the nearly healed scar on my heart, exposing it to everyone. But the expected pain didn't come. I just felt a sense of absurdity and deep irony. Because at this moment, I deeply understood that the man I had kept in my heart for so many years had truly disappeared. Now, I was very grateful that my heart was already filled with Percival, leaving no room for anyone else. I pushed Algernon, who was acting like a madman, away coldly and spoke in a calm tone. Algernon, I thank you for not choosing me back then, which allowed me to meet Percival. Now, since you have Genevieve, treat her well. I wish you happiness. And please don't disturb my life anymore. With that, I opened the car door, ready to drive away. Algernon, recovering, blocked my car door, his eyes filled with a manic frenzy and deep sorrow. Honestly, this was the first time I had seen him so distraught. In my memory, he was always a top student at school and a talented professional in the workplace. He had always been elegant and composed in his dealings with people. Now, his eyes were red, moist, as if filled with a misty haze. His hands, gripping the door frame, were so tight that his veins were bulging. Alara, Genevieve, you don't understand. You don't understand my pain. My father's business is in trouble, and her father can help him. So, my girlfriend can only be her. Only her. I have no choice. Hearing his words, I felt no turmoil in my heart, only a hint of inexplicable mockery. If he had no choice and it could only be Genevieve, then why was he saying all this to me now? He was in pain, but who wasn't? Did he expect me to give up Percival, continue loving him until he got married, after saying all this? He couldn't give up Genevieve, and he wanted to keep me hanging on? I sighed deeply, looked at him with determined eyes. Algernon, we can't go back. My heart is already completely filled with Percival. I like him, no, I love him. So, let's just move on. Don't make me hate you. Let's leave a final bit of dignity to this friendship, okay? Hearing my words, he first widened his eyes in surprise, then deflated like a popped balloon, slowly lowering his hands that were gripping my car door. He looked at me with painful and struggling eyes, opening his mouth. But in the end, he didn't say anything. I didn't look at him again. I started the car and drove away quickly. Along the way, sweat soaked my palms. Ding dong. A message notification. I opened it and Percival's doting voice came through. Sister, where are you? I'm waiting for you at home. Hearing his voice, the last bit of my unhappiness dissipated. I clicked reply. On my way, be there soon. Wait for me. I sped all the way home. When I reached the apartment complex, I practically ran up the stairs. The moment I opened the door, I was stunned. The room filled with roses and Percival kneeling on one knee in the entryway, holding a ring box, struck my heart directly. Tears suddenly streamed down my face without warning. He smiled amidst the falling petals. Sister, will you marry me? The year Percival graduated from university, we got engaged, witnessed by our parents and friends. That night, my parents and Uncle Godfrey and Aunt Theodora urged us to move into our newly purchased house. Exhausted from the day, I had just laid down on the new bed when Percival pressed down on me. With a smile in his eyes, he whispered in my ear. Sister, you're finally mine. Do you know, I've loved you ever since I graduated. Looking at his seductive and flirtatious appearance, I gulped hard, not daring to speak. He, however, punished me severely with his actions. Sister, say you love me. I sob. I love you. He curled his lips and smiled. That's a good girl. Sob. Indeed, beauty is a trap.